Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. We have an exciting program for you this morning. We have attorney Jennifer Witherspoon, Esquire, president of the Lake County branch NAACP. Now, NAACP is an acronym for National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Good morning, Attorney Witherspoon. Good morning, Dr. Brooks. We're very happy that you've taken time from your busy schedule to be with us on Community Focus. We would like, first of all, for you to tell our listening audience, and our listening audience is, Lake County is approximately, 800,000 people. But I don't know how many up at 5 o'clock this morning to listen to the program, but I understand we have a pretty wide audience. But tell us about your personal and professional background as much as you want us to know.
Sure, no problem. My name is Chief Jennifer Witherspoon, like you said, and I say chief because I am a chief with the Lake County Sheriff's Department. For 6 years, I was in charge of the day-to-day operations of the Lake County Adult Correctional Center. And I recently, I think it was in 2011 or 10, maybe, I can't remember, was moved over to Chief of Inmate Programming. I'm the legal liaison between the Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office. And I'm also the EEO officer for the Lake County Sheriff's Office. My professional background also includes, like most people, a lot of different jobs, mainly law enforcement related. I was a patrol officer. I was a corrections officer. I was a patrol sergeant. I also worked as a legal advocate for battered women. Just a lot of different jobs dealing with the justice system.
I noticed that in 2012, you were elected president of the Lake County branch of the NAACP. How long have you been affiliated with the NAACP? I mention that because I've been affiliated since I was 17 years old.
Wow,
I go way back, But
Yeah.
What about you? What piqued your interest?
Well, and you're an inspiration to me in that I know that you also served as the president at one time.
Yes, back in 80, 81.
Yes,
like that, yeah.
and it's so funny because back in the 80s was a time when the NAACP was on the news a lot more frequently. You guys were standing up for causes, just in the forefront of making changes here in America for people of color. And I've been affiliated with it for quite a while. My mother was a member when I was a young girl. My mother was one of those type of people that believed in civil rights and standing up for communities that were underserved. I grew up in the Robert Taylor homes of Chicago. And I don't want to tell you how old I am, but let me just say it was early 60s.
Okay.
I saw a lot of injustices in that community. And my mother worked to correct those injustices. And she had me right alongside her, so I learned from her. My mother had a way of talking to people and compromising, but in the end, she would get what it was she wanted completed. So, my association goes back a number of years.
And you're from a large family too, right? I can mention that because I'm the only one.
Oh, wow. We talk about that, my brothers and sisters, all the time. It was 7 of us. My dad died when we were relatively young, and so my mother was tasked with raising 4 boys and 3 girls in the Robert Taylor homes of Chicago. And let me say this, when the projects was first built, it was seen as a ideal place for people to come together to raise their families, but that quickly turned that quickly turned. But my mother, because of the values that she was raised in with, instilled those in us. So even though we had a lot of chaos and turmoil outside our doors, we always saw our home as a place of comfort, as well as, you mentioned the large family, as well as several of the other community kids too, because they were in their in our house with us. But my mother never turned anyone away.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with attorney Jennifer Witherspoon, Esquire. She's a very distinguished person here in Lake County. As she mentioned, she's the chief in the Lake County Sheriff's Department, and she's taken over the responsibility of being president of the Lake County branch. I mentioned Lake County branch because when I was president, it was the North Chicago branch of the NAACP. We had a Holland Park branch, we had Zion branch, Waukegan branch in North Chicago. So the group got together and say, why don't we bind together and have one branch serving all the people of Lake County?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so that's when it birthed. Now, we hear so much about NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Give us a little history of
Sure.
the NAACP, yeah.
Well, I think a lot what people don't realize is that really it began here in Springfield, Illinois.
Right here in our own state.
In our own state, and it started because of the race riots that was happening in Springfield. And it was because of those that a group got together and said, people, particularly at that time, people of African descent, African Americans were being treated unjustly.
Okay.
And so these group of people, and mind you, it was mostly Caucasian brothers and sisters, came together and decided to make this organization that would stand up and protect and defend those who were of color, who did not have the means to protect and defend themselves. There, the NAACP was born. Now, over the years, I think what has happened is people have started to associate the NAACP with only African Americans. That is so not true. That is so not true. Basically, the NAACP is there to defend and protect people of color, the oppressed, anyone that suffers injustice. The majority of our clientele, though, are minorities. And, however, to become a member of the NAACP, you can be whatever race God made you. So we need to remove that idea that you have to be African American or a minority in order to be a member of the NAACP. And so it began here in Springfield, and it quickly spread across our country. Now we have branches of the NAACP in every state in the United States, and a lot more, just like you said earlier, different counties in those states, different cities in those states. So it's still alive and thriving to this day. We celebrated our 104th anniversary.
Wow.
And like I say,
1909.
1909,
right?
Absolutely. And I said, we look pretty good to be 104 years old.
Right. I may mention a little history too. The Jewish population, Jewish organization really saved the NAACP. At one time, the NAACP was sued by a group, I think, in Mississippi because of the boycotts.
Right.
They were losing business,
Yes.
so they sued the NAACP. Now, we knew that the NAACP would win, but they didn't have enough money to
have a legal team to defend them in this lawsuit. Yes.
And so the Jewish organization came up, I think it was about $800,000, I believe it was, And
it was a lot of money. I can't remember.
Saved the NAACP.
Absolutely. And, and that's why when people have this idea that we're just for black people, I'm quick to correct them. We are for injustice, we invite everybody to come alongside us and especially here in America, we're a melting pot. Right, so racial divides, lines are not as clear as they were at one time. You have intermarriage between all the races here. So, eventually, we're going to have to realize that. And even when we go out of the country, and I'm chuckling when I think about this. My husband and I and our children, we were on vacation out of the country.
Okay.
And, we were walking down the streets and looking around and stuff. And it was so funny. It was so funny because even though we're African American, when you see another American, you're like, hey, hi,
Right,
and all the racial whatever went away because you were happy. You knew that other person was an American. I don't know how you know it, but I guess it's something about us Americans that we stand out in a crowd. So yeah, the NAACP is getting rid of those lines.
The importance of a membership, too, though. You have regular members. I guess this membership drives 365 days a year, right?
Absolutely.
You're recruiting.
Oh, all the time. Here in Lake County, we usually have our regular membership meetings every fourth Tuesday at 7 p.m. That's our general membership meeting.
Okay.
And it's usually at CLC at 1 North Genesee Street in Waukegan.
Okay.
However, membership I'm a Starbucks person. I hate to admit it, but I am. And so, a grande frappuccino, it's gonna run you at least at a minimum $5 a piece, And so, but however, 1 year membership with the NAACP is $30.
Only $30 a year?
Only $30. Okay. And, so that's what's that, like only six. And like I said, I drink a lot of them. So that's 6 Frappuccinos. So, and the thing about the NAACP is we're keeping up. We realize that social media and using the social web is very important. You can go online and do your membership.
Oh,
you can do it right there using your credit card. $30. You put which branch of the NAACP you want to be affiliated with, which ours is branch 3020, 3020. And man, you're a member in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Nationally, the membership population, what is about 800,000?
Yes.
800,000.
Yes. At least. I think it's more now, but I know a minimum it's 800,000.
Well, I noticed one of the executive directors of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People had a motto, fired up and ready to go.
Fired up and ready to go. That's right.
So actually what you're doing is trying to get everybody excited about the need. Now voter suppression, I guess, is one of the big items here. And Section 5 of the Voter Rights Act. Why is there so much? I think the Supreme Court is taking that up now at this time, probably. I think this week they're discussing it and they probably make a decision on it by June. But why is there so much discussion about the suppressing the Voter Rights Act?
Well, let's go back again, like we did at the beginning, to talk about history. Back when, and I'm trying to find the words to use, when our country was not as gentle with us, not willing to acknowledge our existence and our worth in this country. There were historically, and not only not mainly though in the South, there were different methods used to suppress voters from coming out to the polls. I'm sure you've heard of the poll tax. They used, you had to read.
How many grains of sand in a jar?
Exactly. just kind of, now we look at it and, and I'm sure they looked at it then and thought it was ridiculous. Now we look at it and we say, this was absurd. And so now I think what has happened, why people are looking at voter suppression, is because it could be that we have the same animal, but with a different spin to it.
Okay.
And so we all realize here in this country that, our constitutional rights should not be violated. We've established that no matter what color your skin is, your rights as an American citizen should not be violated. And so I think our Supreme Court will sit down and look at this and see if indeed those rights have been violated. And that's a travesty. We as Americans, we will not stand for that.
I didn't have anything to do with the color of my skin, like you didn't have anything to do with the color of your skin, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My wife, I keep reminding people, my wife is a medical technologist, and she worked for the hospital, Victory Hospital at that time. And she went on the top floor to get blood from a senior who's Caucasian. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's 89 years old, but they take blood regularly, And she was refused to take the blood from her. They had to send downstairs to get a Caucasian technician to come up and take her blood.
Wow.
And so I asked my wife, what's the difference? She said, well, it's all A, B, C.
Right,
That's
exactly.
the different types of blood.
Yeah.
But that's the way. But it wasn't until, the Emancipation Proclamation, I guess, was issued by Abraham Lincoln in, 1863.
Yeah, 150 years ago. We celebrated the 150th year of the Emancipation Proclamation.
So it's a continuous education, right?
Yes.
Continuous education. 150 years and you still educate. Now, I understand that you have several celebrations during the year to, for example, one is Black History Month or African American History Month. Why is it so important to celebrate Black History Month?
Well, I think it's important because I believe that a lot of contributions made by persons of African American descent here in the U.S. should be acknowledged. Okay. Some of the famous ones we know. Mostly everybody knows about George Washington Carver. Everybody knows about Benjamin Banneker, who helped assist build the White House. Exactly. Yeah. But a lot of people don't realize that the traffic light was designed and built by a black man.
Okay.
All kinds, the squirter, super soaker squirter water gun. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how much value, but I'm sure if you had your grandkids probably loved the idea that he did that. Right. But things like that, so we can keep in our minds the contributions and inspire others that are of African American descent to make more contributions.
Mm-hmm. Wow. The filament for light, for example, make the lights brighter.
Absolutely.
The first heart operation.
Yes.
From Chicago.
Right. And also Daniel Hale Williams, I believe that was, I can't remember. But you also, the other part of that is the doctor, he needed a transplant later in his life, I believe, and they refused to give it to him.
Wow.
So, it's...
Charles Drew was the same way. He discovered the blood plasma, and he was in an automobile accident or something where he needed...
That's who I mean, Charles Drew. You're right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he passed away because he...
Yeah.
Amazing. That's really, education is so important.
Absolutely.
And also, recently you have town meetings, and I noticed with the election, you had... the Waukegan Mayoral Candidates Forum, you had one coming up for North Chicago, and so what you're doing is trying to bring people together to be educated on the candidates so they can vote for the candidates of their choice, right?
Right. One part of the mission of the NAACP is also to educate.
Okay.
And we want people, every time we have one of these candidate forums, we always have someone there to register voters that come in. And what we do, the reason why we have these, going back to part of our mission, is we know that an informed voter is the one that'll go and vote. We hope that is. And so we allow people to come in to listen to the candidates so they can make an informed decision as to who they want to represent them. And we think that that's very important because most people, I dare say, most people will align themselves with the person whose ideas and goals are similar to theirs. You know, if you just go out and just pick a name out of a hat and say, oh, I'm going to vote for them, that person can be wanting things done completely opposite to what you would like seen done.
Attorney Witherspoon, you have of course, you have many programs and nationally hundreds of programs, but one stands out is the EXO program. What is the EXO program? We hear that so much nationally now.
Oh, yes. EXO is a wonderful program specifically geared toward high school students of African American descent. Now, when we say that, that means that, you know, you can be African American and, Hispanic, African, you just have some kind of African descent. And what it does is it allows these children, these high schoolers, to compete with kids from all over the world, the United States, in a competition that highlights their talents. And we have kids in there from every thing you can think of, from beginning with dancing, singing, ballet, all the way to writing, making an oratory presentation where they stand before, and trust me, it's a large group of people, and they give a speech.
But
and they're judged on that.
You have regional and where they advance to the national level, is that right?
Right, absolutely. Right
so
now,
we have local competition.
We have local competition, and our local competition, I believe, is coming up at the end of April.
Oh, it's very timely then. Yeah.
Yes, very timely. And then those kids will advance. The ones that are selected will advance, to the state. And then, as you said, then to regional, and then through the nation. And the national competition will be, and I think I'm going to try to go with them there. It's going to be in Florida. It'll be in Florida. So the kids are excited. The thing of it is we, the NAACP, we have to pay for that.
Okay.
So we have to raise money. That includes not only their airfare. It also includes their hotel stay, food and
you guys be busy raising money there.
Absolutely,
huh?
Absolutely.
Speaking of raising money, though, tell us about the fundraising activities that you have coming up.
Oh, we're always trying to think of ways.
Of course, membership is one of the fundraising activities.
It is.
A portion goes to the national and a portion stays with the branch.
Or you can also just make a donation, write out a check, put it in an envelope.
And where they mail it to?
You mail it to P.O. Box 272 here in North Chicago, Illinois. And that's the NAACP's mailbox. You can just send in a check. But we plan events throughout the year. We have our Freedom Fund banquet, which is the biggest banquet. I believe in the past, Dr. Brooks, you were a part of that, and you really helped us raise some funds. And I want to thank you.
You twist my arm.
I seriously, I just.
No,
we
also had a membership luncheon too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So those that
and you did a good job on that as well.
Those that are not members, they still could come, and there's a different price for those, and then they can include their membership there.
Yes.
Because we had ministers there appealing to their members too.
Yes.
There too.
That's a wonderful.
So actually, it's a fundraiser. People having a good time, learning about each other.
Absolutely, and it's so amazing to see how many people come from so many different walks of life.
Yeah.
You have everyone from those that have very little money that have made it there, all the way up to very, very, very wealthy people that attend this dinner, and they all have the same thought that they want to assist, they want to help. And that's what I think helps us have a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with this exemplary person here, Attorney Jennifer Witherspoon, Esquire. She's the president of the Lake County branch of the NAACP. Of course, NAACP is an acronym for National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And one big event we want to highlight is she mentioned EXO. This is a nationwide program and where youngsters can participate in academics, cultural, technical, and scientific organization. That's EXO, Academic, Cultural, Technical, Scientific Organization. And Attorney Witherspoon, you mentioned as the competition is going to be at the end of April?
Yes, for here locally.
Okay, and you will be getting information out so people know how they can.
Absolutely.
Would you be going through the high schools?
Well, yeah, we already have selected the children that's going to be in the competition.
Oh, okay.
So that's done already. And then, but we invite the public to come and watch.
Okay.
It's amazing to see how talented these kids are. Desiree Cole and Ingrid Facey have volunteered to tutor these young people and to direct them and guide them in the competition. Our Facebook page, NAACP Lake County branch, you can access that for dates and times of all of these events. We make sure that we, as well as the regularly general membership meetings, we try to inform the public about everything that we're doing because we want you to come along. We want, the public to know what we're doing.
And you mentioned your general membership meetings, which are held at 1 North Genesee Street at lower level.
Right, room 008.
Okay, and then you have the executive committee meetings, which is 6 o'clock, I guess, 1 hour prior to make preparations for your presentations.
Right, exactly.
To the general membership.
Right, and that's usually closed, and that's reserved for the executive committee only. But the general membership, anybody and everybody is welcome to come.
Well, Attorney Witherspoon, the struggle continues.
Yes.
You have some role models in your struggle. I guess one, not only yours, but everyone, is Thurgood Marshall.
Yes.
That served on the Supreme Court. I think that was a Johnson appointee, President Johnson, Lyndon B. Johnson appointee.
Oh, wasn't it? It's so, when he stepped outside of that box, that was a wonderful thing.
And this is one of the few times that the U.S. Supreme Court voted unanimously.
Right.
On the case, the Brown versus
the Board of Education.
1954.
Absolutely. I remember being in law school when they talked about that. My chest kind of stuck out every time. Yes.
This is fantastic. Of course, everyone knows about Rosa Parks. They called her the mother of the civil rights movement. Yeah. There probably were others, but she stood out because she said, I refuse to give up my seat,
Yes.
Of course, Dr. Martin Luther King, we can identify him with the NAACP, but he's with the SCLC, but they're still members of the NAACP. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming down to the station to share with Lake County the mission, goals, objectives of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And we'd like to have you again periodically throughout the year.
Absolutely.
Keeping us up to date on the activities that you have going on within the branch. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you again for listening to another awareness session on Community Focus. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.